Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into a really extraordinary set of documents.
We are. It's a recent court filing and, well, also an accompanying letter.
And they kind of blend legal arguments with what you can only really call ancient spiritual claims.
Exactly. It's quite the mix.
So our mission for you today is to unpack what happens, when texts like the Zohar end up in a modern American courtroom.
Yeah, it reveals this surprising interplay of, law, prophecy, and some pretty cosmic implications.
Okay, cosmic implications. Let's start there.
Well, at the heart of it all are these 48 copies of the Zohar.
48. Specific number.
Very specific. And what's crucial is the profound, almost unimaginable significance the plaintiff, Joshua Holtom, gives them.
Right. That sets a very distinctive stage, doesn't it? Not your typical legal exhibit.
Not at all.
Okay, let's unpack this letter first. It's from Joshua Holtom, who also goes by Ambassador Josiah Holtom.
That's right. Addressed to the mayor of Henderson, Tennessee, Terry Bell.
And it's about these 48 Zohars, which were apparently gifted to the City of Henderson Police Department, the CHPD.
Correct. And it's all within the context of this court case, 1.24 CV-01215.
So what does he say about these Zohars in the letter?
Well, one really striking thing is he states right up front, unequivocally, that these aren't just books.
Not books. What are they then, according to him?
He claims they are, and this is a quote, the same frequency of divine light that once shielded Noah's family a living ark. He actually cites Genesis 7.16.
A living ark. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And he even compares it to Moses gifting manna, from Exodus.
Yeah.
Saying it's a conditional gift.
Conditional how?
They have to be received with awe. That's the condition, quoting Zohar the Second 99a as a warning. So it's not just about taking the physical items.
It's about the spiritual reception.
Exactly. The resonance.
And the consequences he outlines, they seem pretty dramatic.
Oh, definitely. He says if the CHPD upholds justice, the Zohars become cities of refuge, like in the book of Joshua, sanctuary.
But if they don't, if truth is suppressed,
then they turn into spiritual anvils. That's his term.
Spiritual anvils. And he frames this whole thing not as a threat, but as divine physics. What does that even mean in this context?
Well, this idea of divine physics seems key to his whole perspective. It's like he's trying to say these aren't just religious beliefs, but fundamental laws, like spiritual cause and effect.
So the outcomes he predicts are inevitable, not like his doing.
That seems to be the implication. It's not a choice, just physics. And, another thing worth mentioning is who else got this letter?
Oh, besides the mayor.
Yeah, it's also copied to the Galactic Embassy of Light, Zohar the 3rd .81b jurisdiction.
Galactic Embassy of Light. Okay, that certainly broadens the context.
It definitely suggests he sees this as part of a much larger cosmic framework, far beyond Henderson, Tennessee.
Right. So given how unusual this letter is, it maybe isn't surprising he didn't just leave it at that. He took these arguments into court. Yes,
into a formal court filing. It's a supplemental filing for U.S. District Court, and he's arguing for the, quote, non-frivolous nature of Zohar-based claims. Basically asking the court to take this seriously.
And how does he argue that?
Well, a core argument is that the Zohar itself is the sealed book that's prophesied in Daniel 12.4.
The sealed book from the Bible.
Correct. And he links this to a warning from Rabbi Yehuda Ashlag in 1940.
What was the warning?
Ashlag apparently warned that ignoring the light of the Zohar invites global darkness. And Holtom points out that World War II followed.
So he's drawing a historical parallel. Ignore this and bad things happen on a global scale.
That's exactly the argument. He's suggesting history provides a precedent.
And he applies this to today.
Directly. He asserts that the CHPD's alleged suppression of evidence in this local case is like a microcosm of global injustice.
A microcosm.
And he explicitly connects resolving this case through what he calls divine law to averting WWIII in places like Ukraine and Taiwan.
Okay, that's a huge leap. From a local police department case to averting World War III, he calls this prophetic historiography.
Yeah, prophetic historiography. It basically means he sees history, even current events, as this continuous unfolding of divine prophecy.
So this local case isn't just local, it's a prophetic signpost.
According to him, yes. It carries immense weight for the future. And legally, he tries to back this up by citing cases like City Board v. Flores and Holt v. Hobbs.
Those are religious freedom cases, right? Where courts looked at scripture.
Exactly. Cases where courts acknowledge scripture as, cultural evidence. He's using that precedent to argue the Zohar fits into a moral legal framework, citing Exodus, Leviticus, and the Zohar itself. He claims this violation isn't just religious, but breaks natural law.
And there's this sense of urgency he conveys.
Very much so. He draws that line again. Aschlag's warning before Auschwitz, and his warnings now before potential nuclear escalation.
So he wants the court to formally recognize this pattern.
Yes, he's seeking judicial notice under Federal Rule of Evidence 201. And he wants a public declaration to sort of awaken the national conscience. He labels this whole process prophetic due process.
Prophetic due process. It sounds like he believes the legal system itself has a kind of spiritual duty here.
That seems to be it. Like, divine law is providing the actual due process for humanity. His strategy involves the letter's tone, which he calls humerus gravitas.
Humerus gravitas, an interesting mix.
Yeah, maybe trying to disarm people while still stressing the sacred stakes.
Nice.
And then there's this other plan, a galactic ID integration.
Okay, what's that?
It involves launching a specific landing page on August 1st, 3 p.m. Jerusalem time, which is Tisha B'Av, a significant date.
And this webpage?
Apparently, it redirects IP addresses from the CHPD to a verse in Isaiah 61.1, and embeds a binary watermark.
A binary watermark. Right.
Yeah.
That's a very specific, almost technical detail mixed in with all the prophecy.
It is. It feels like an attempt to ground these very spiritual claims in something tangible, maybe verifiable. He says the goal is to fulfill a mandate from Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai Rashbi, turn the darkness into a chariot for light. And he concludes quite boldly, the ark is armed.
The ark is armed. It really is just a fascinating collision, isn't it? Ancient prophecies, sacred texts, complex legal arguments, all meeting in a modern courtroom.
Absolutely. What does it even mean for a legal case to bring in concepts like divine physics or demand prophetic due process?
It definitely leaves you thinking.
And maybe a question for you, our listeners, to ponder. In this age of, well, overwhelming information and so many different beliefs, what are the implications when a court is asked to seriously consider a claim that a sealed book from prophecy has been opened?
And that global events might hinge on whether anyone listens.
Exactly. Something to think about.